Hello and welcome to another My Aspie marriage video. And in this video I wanted to talk about withdrawing. So there's shutdowns versus meltdowns. Today I want to talk about shutdowns, also known as withdrawing, stonewalling, the silent treatment, brooding, sulking. I'm sure there's all manner of names that you could give this particular thing that Aspie individuals do. So how that shows up in my marriage, I'll give you two examples. So during the housework saga, one time hubby came home from work and he was just not talking to me. For reasons unknown, I had no idea why. He just refused to engage, refused to acknowledge I existed, refused to talk. He was just really quiet and distant. If he did reply, it was these curt, rude answers, and I had no idea why or what was going on. If I did approach him, I would get no response, and this is how it rolled for about 3 days. And eventually he says to me that he's not talking to me because one of the children didn't take the rubbish out. Now you can imagine how aggravating that was for him to be cracking the shits with me and not talking to me because of something the children had failed to do. So I was fairly cross. I went for a big long walk around the block sort of thing, just cursing under my breath, you know, how dare you? How dare you treat me like that for 3 days? Like refusing to interact or talk or be nice or anything just because rubbish wasn't taken out. And when he did eventually say to me, that's why I'm not talking to you, there was no apology, there was no understanding of how awful it had been for me to be ignored for 3 days. There was no redress, no resolve, nothing. It was just left hanging like that, and this situation happened. So more recently we went for a walk around the block with the dog. And while we were walking, he asked me some questions. I gave him some answers. He didn't like the answers, so he shut down. And I could see that he had shut down. He gets that kind of brooding look on his face and he withdraws. He stops interacting, he stops talking, he stops engaging in the conversation. So I stopped talking as well. And I'm instantly like, here we go again. He's in one of those moods again. And so while we were walking, the dog who's with us steps in front of me and I tap his hindquarters because I'm mid-step. And he kind of yells a bit and says, "Don't kick the dog." And I said to him, I didn't kick the dog. I would never kick the dog. And then he remembers he's not talking to me, so he shuts down again. So that's as good a conversation as I get for the rest of the night. He doesn't talk to me, he avoids me, stays away from me. If I interact with him, I get these short, curt answers. However, the difference between the first one and this one was the next day I said to him, "What upset you?" And he did tell me, and we talked about it. So that's a difference between how it used to go and how it goes now. In the early days when he would shut down, I would be devastated. Remember, I've got no idea that he's on the spectrum, so I'm just devastated. I'm trying everything in my power to get him to engage and talk to me. I'm being sweet, I'm starting conversation, I'm trying to be friendly, I'm trying to be flirty, I'm offering drink and cook a nice meal. I am doing whatever it takes to get this guy to re-engage because I can't understand why he's shutting down and why he's not talking to me or engaging with me. In the middle years, that turned into anger. I became really resentful and angry every time he shut down. So for example, in those middle years when he shut down because I didn't take the rubbish out, I was just agitated. Like, how dare you stop talking to me? What is it now? You know, like, what the hell? And I would then try to engage with him and it would just kind of get worse and blow up, and in the end neither of us were talking to each other, and it was just crazy, hectic stuff. These days, I'm far more water off a duck's back. If he starts to shut down like he did the other day when we were walking and I accidentally tapped the dog. I was just like, you do you, I'll go and do me. And so I'll either go for a walk or call a friend or come into my room and listen to music or make myself a cuppa and watch a movie, and I'll just do something that is just related to me. I don't need him to participate in it. In fact, it's better that he doesn't. And then I'll just quietly sit by myself and just wait for him to come out of his brood. And I never know how long that's going to take. Could take 1 day or 2. Usually these days he doesn't brood for as long. And so then I'll just go and do my own thing and just leave him to his mood. Because I've realised, even though he blames me for his mood, like it's your fault you didn't take the rubbish out, that I'm now not talking to you. I know within myself this has got nothing to do with me. I'm not the cause of it. I'm not the fault of it. It's just him and how he's processing things. Now, he does also say to me that he likes to step back and wait for whatever anger has come up for him to reside. And this has come about since he did anger management, because he used to get quite rageful. So now he'll sort of step back from the situation, disengage, wait for whatever, feelings or whatever there are there to calm down a bit, and then we can have a conversation about it. Whereas in the early days, he didn't know any of that. He would just brood for days, come out of it, and be all like, happy as Larry, nothing's happened. Yes, I ignored you for not taking the rubbish out, but, I'm done now. All is good. Doesn't get resolved. Swept under the carpet. No problem. So the dynamic is certainly changing. He's getting less broody, and we're able to talk about it a little bit more now. I mean, it certainly does help that I now understand what's going on with him, because before, when I was in the dark and clueless, it was just foreign to me. I just thought, who does that? It was always my response, my thought process. Who does that? So anyway, that's how it's working for us. In your relationship, how does it work for you? Do you find that your partner shuts down a lot? Do you find that you get to resolve issues? If you're the Aspie in the relationship, what is it that you hope to achieve from these shutdowns? Is it just because the situation is so overwhelming and you don't want to get angry? Will you process the situation later, apologize maybe, or talk about it and discuss it until you have a resolution? Or do you just forget about it, just have your quiet moment and then just let it go? Please leave a comment below, however it rolls for you. I'd love to hear from you. And thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video.